Hi, welcome to the DEC Network Speaker Series. We're excited to welcome founder and CEO of Steadfast Fitness and Performance and former player for the National Football League, Isaiah Stanback. Isaiah founded Steadfast Fitness and Performance in 2013 and has seen tremendous success with his company. He serves on the entrepreneurship board for Coppell ISD, the Coppell ISD Career and Technical Education Business Advisory Committee, and has been featured in Entrepreneurship and Forbes magazine. In addition, Isaiah currently works with the Union Gospel Mission of Dallas and Rise, a national nonprofit that educates and empowers the sports community to eliminate racial discrimination, champion social justice, and improve race relations. We're so glad you're here, and I know our audience is looking forward to you, so I'll let you take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Alex. I appreciate you. Everybody, it's great to see y'all or virtually see you guys. I hope that what we do today, you guys can take something away, that you guys can apply it. All I'm doing today is simply sharing my experience and what we've had happen. Obviously going through this crazy year, this past year, 2020, and now into 2021, which we call COVID. For anybody that's been directly affected by that, I pray that you guys are good, that you guys come out of this healthy. But I know all of us as entrepreneurs have been affected in some way or some form. So I want to give you guys a little bit of insight as to who I am. She just gave a little bit of a brief overview, but just a young guy born and raised out of Seattle, Washington, kind of raised in the hood, as I were per se. And adversity was kind of instilled in me early on, and it's been a huge part of my life, as from childhood all the way up to through being a professional athlete, all the way now to an entrepreneur and a philanthropist as I move forward. And as I came through the ranks, whether it was injuries, whether it was overcoming my environment, whether it was overcoming my situation, parents being divorced, growing up in a single family household, spending weekends with my every other weekend with my father, just all the mental anguish that you go through and restraints with that. Adversity was always a cornerstone of it. And as we look forward and as we fast forward now to the present, I believe that all of us have had to face some form of adversity, and I'm pretty sure that adversity has really created who we are today. We are no strangers to adversity, right? Entrepreneurs, it's kind of we kind of welcome it. I know in my sense, I know we welcome it. And as the founder of Steadfast Fitness Performance, it's really the foundation of who we are. And as we think about the name Steadfast came actually from my wife. My wife created the name as we were sitting there while she was pregnant with our first child, Nadia Renee Stanback. And I wanted something as we were trying to conceptualize the business, right? Just like we all do, we get our little notepads out and we have our concept in terms of what it is that we want to attain. We have our the kind of the vibe that we want to get across, but at the same time, we need to make sure that it's something that applies to everybody. And I know that was our forward focus as we look forward to trying to start a new business. She was pregnant. I was focused on fitness, transitioning out of professional football, playing 6 years. I was blessed to win a Super Bowl with the New York Giants, had a bunch of injuries. I'm not even going to touch on that today, but I had to overcome a lot of hurdles to become who I was. And then I was trying to find myself. So in the midst of trying to find myself, I found myself coming out of graduate school. I got my MBA from George Washington University. And now I'm here trying to figure out what is the next business move for myself. It's not going to be my play anymore. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about how physically superior I am. Nobody cares about how fast I am. Nobody cares about what the things I can do on the field. Now it's about how can I convey those things and convert those things over from my previous experience, my previous profession, and now make them applicable to what I'm doing now. And I wanted to make sure that the name that was going to be the cornerstone of our business, right? Steadfast, wanted to make sure that it applied to everybody. And as we sat there brainstorming with my wife, we found that 1 Corinthians 15:58 in the Bible, be ye steadfast and abound in the Lord in all your ways, really not only resonated with us, but we figured that it also resonated with everybody, simply because of the fact that every single person, y'all out there listening right now, everybody who I planned on walking through the doors of our business was going to have something that they had to overcome. And being that they had something that they had to overcome, they had to be what? They had to be steadfast. So I felt like that, we both felt like that was a very appropriate name. And we felt like that was really important for us to get that right. Why was it important for us to get that right? Because we needed to make sure that we connected with every single one of our customers. I originally started off trying to think about prenatal. Like I said, my wife was pregnant, and we kind of found out that, hey, we were going to do prenatal. Well, let's turn it into some personal training, group training classes. That's what we wanted to get to, but we originally started off with personal training and boot camps. That's all we had space for. We found a spot at 1,500 square feet out in Flower Mound, Texas. And myself and my business partner, Jared Harrison, we kicked the doors down, we put some paint on the walls, and we got to getting after it, right? The old school grassroots style. Grab some flyers, go to Office Depot, Office Max, didn't have a network of marketers yet. Fresh out the league, fresh out off of grad school, but still didn't know anything, right? Fresh into the game. So getting in there, not having much, right? Starting off with very little funds, and really just wanting to get to the grind. And so many of us really start with that, right? Some of us either start with a lot of resources, and we're blessed to have resources, blessed to have all the great network and hit the ground running, have plenty of experience. And then some of us just had to do it the old school way, which was, hey, go on there. I heard somebody said to start an LLC, so let me go on there and create an LLC. I heard somebody said that I need to get my name, my website title, domain name. I need to get my trademark. All these things you hearsay, and then you just get to it and you bust it. And you have your bumps, you have your bruises as you figure things out, as we all very well know. But we really got in there. We got to work. We were in there running personal training. We had one client when we first opened the doors. We started doing boot camps out in the front parking lot of a local high school. We were doing it the hard way, y'all, not the smart way. We were working harder, not necessarily smarter, but at the same time, we were learning a lot in the process. One of the other things the word steadfast resonated was shortly after my daughter was born. When she turned 3 years old, we found out that she was type 1 diabetes. She had type 1 diabetes, and that changed our world. So that also added another element to the word steadfast. My business partner, Jared, he was type 1 diabetic. So all of a sudden we have these things that are kind of connected. Not only is every single person that walks through our door dealing with something, but now we have something right at our home that is really hitting us hard, and that we have to continue to remain and be an example for every single person that comes in our doors, because we're the leaders, we're the founders, we're the owners of the company. So community was very important to us, as you guys can probably tell. Everything that we thought about was always forward facing. How is this going to benefit our customers? And that was what we led with. We had an option very early on to decide whether or not we wanted to really be in this just to get a bunch of money, or if we wanted to get in this to use the gifts and talents that God gave us and actually be able to bless other people and be a great service and a service leader for those people. So we chose the service route. That's a decision we made early on. Not to say that we're in business to make money. However, we were there to serve others, and that's what we did. So every single day, Monday through Saturday, we got after it, busting our butts there. And that's what we call Steadfast 1.0. 1,500 square feet, not much of anything, grinding until we were blessed to kind of work our way up to the point where we needed to grow. But it took a lot, right? It took a lot. It took a lot of those hours, those long hours. It took a lot of sacrifice from my family, from my kids. Right, my wife was amazing through the process. She was very supportive. All of us need that support system. Not taking home checks, right? I went from making $20-some thousand, $30-some thousand per game, right, every week, all of a sudden to hopefully taking home $1,000 per month, right? So it was a culture shock beyond belief, but it was necessary because I needed to know what it felt like to start something from the ground up, right? All of my life, I was always up here. I put my work in now. I deserve to be up there. I put my work in, but I was blessed with a gift, and I applied hard work with that talent that I received, and that put me in the top 1% of the 1% in what I did in terms of playing in the National Football League. But now coming out of that, I'm a rookie. Not only am I a rookie, I'm a rookie without any true skill sets aside from the characteristics that I was bringing over from the game that I had played my entire life. So we were blessed to move over to what we call Steadfast 2.0. Now we went from 1,500 square feet and we started conceptualizing. We went through about 2 years of trying to figure out what we wanted to do with the next step. And we were blessed to come across a place that was 14,000 square feet. I'm gonna run that back for you guys. 1,500 square feet, transitioning over to 14,000 square feet, right? Huge, a huge and insurmountable jump right there. But it's something that we wanted to do because we didn't want to take a baby step. We wanted to say, hey, we need to expand our business model because there's only so many hours in a day. And there was no way that we were going to start putting money in our pocket with the amount of hours that we had, with the amount of resources that we had in terms of serviceable people, or in terms of trainers. It was myself and Jared working, and we only had so much space, right? We had 3 people come in the facility. The facility was shut down. We were maxed out. We were tapped out. We couldn't bring in any more revenue. So we needed to expand. So we went and we found Steadfast 2.0, right? We moved into Steadfast 2.0, bare walls, everything, right? Just the basics. Let's get in there. Let's take the lease as is. Terrible lease for us. Terrible interest rates on loans, right? We're paying 18-20% again, doing it the hard way, y'all. Doing it the hard way. During this time, we learned a lot. Like I said, I had my MBA, but the MBA didn't really show you real life experience. The MBA had you researching, all these multi-billion-dollar companies, looking at their data and all that. They didn't tell you anything about how to really grind and build things the correct way. So we get into that space. Now we're able to scale, right? We're able to not only have personal training and boot camps, but we have personal training, boot camps, 5 different classes, right? We're able to start then having corporate wellness programs. We were able to scale substantially. Not only were we able to scale substantially with our services offerings, right? But we also had to bring on staff, right? So some of us were in a position where we had to manage staff, which is a whole nother learning curve. But we had the space, we had the service, we had plenty of services, and we had the community. And we leaned on our community for this transition. We stayed in close enough proximity so that we can make sure that we didn't leave anybody behind. And we didn't want to restart our business, right? So when we made the move, we made sure that we were within a 10-mile radius so that people can still easily access us from our previous location. While we were make sure that we were inputting ourselves into a community that was our target market. Our target market was families, right? Our target market was families. So we wanted to make sure that we were within close enough proximity to a high school, a lot of homes, red kind of suburban type area. That was our target market. We wanted anybody and everybody who wanted to get better to be able to walk through our doors and have options. We had our pricing options were anywhere from $10 up to $1,800. Whatever you want, we wanted to make sure that you had access. That's something that was very, very important to us because we were in a position to be servant leaders and be able to give somebody and provide services. If you price yourself out of to be able to provide services, that's on you. All right, that's a decision that you make. But the decision we made was to make sure that we can take care of everybody. So 2.0 came up. We're scaling. We're rolling. Everything is going absolutely awesome. And then this thing pops up. This thing pops up. And at the time, I was splitting time between running, owning and facilitating Steadfast 2.0, but I also had the opportunity that was presented, as Alex mentioned earlier, to work for the XFL and working in regards of I was a community engagement manager for the Dallas Renegades. So I was responsible for everything community oriented, everything forward facing. I was working in the marketing department. I was working with the sales. I was doing everything. Started an entire I can't even think right now. I started the entire I blanked out. Anyways, our veterans program. Okay, so we had a lot of vets incorporated in the community and pretty much absolutely everything that we did, and it was awesome. Things were rolling, but then we saw it on the news. COVID, right? Basketball starting to cancel games. All right, okay, well, let's keep an eye on this, right? Boom, all of a sudden we get the email. You guys just go home and stay at the office. Okay. All right, let's see how things are going. We're starting to see things shut down on the West Coast. We're starting to see things shut down on the East Coast. We know Texas is going to be the last state, right? All of a sudden, we get the word. Don't come back to the office for the XFL. And then we get the news saying that all fitness facilities must shut down. All facilities must shut down. No warning, no anything. You must lock your doors. Man, what do you do when you're not allowed to do what you're there, what you're in service to, what you're in business to do? What do? We were faced with one of the worst scenarios that we could have possibly experienced, and that was not being able to be in business. yet still having all the responsibilities of being in business. So when we started having these conversations with our landlord, the landlord presented to us an option. Either you continue paying or I lock your doors. Well, Mr. Landlord or Mrs. Landlord, it's a little bit difficult to kind of pay bills when we don't have any revenue coming in. Unfortunately, they weren't that understanding. So we had to figure out a way. We had to sign an agreement that we didn't want any parts of, right? But we had to find a way. We had to find a way. And this was our first major hurdle that we had to overcome in terms of adversity. We had previous ones before, but this was a major one, right? As many of us, I'm sure, have been affected, and why you're probably even listening today. But COVID was major. Not only was it a health concern, not only was my business partner, highly susceptible to it. Not only was my daughter highly susceptible to it, but all of a sudden we don't have any revenue coming in from what we do every single day. So we had to move and we had to shake. What's the next move? What's the next move? Now we have all this insurmountable amount of overhead that we don't have any revenue coming in for. So we're faced with a question. What do? We chose to get to work. We chose to get to work. We didn't want to play victim. We didn't want to be the person that, oh, woe me. That wasn't an option for us. We see adversity, and I want you guys to see adversity as opportunities. I'm gonna say it again. We want you guys to see adversity as opportunities. And a lot of time when you're in it, it's hard to adjust your mindset. It's hard to adjust your mindset to look at things that way, to have that perception, to have that, to gaze at things in that manner, because it's easy to play victim. But as a competitor at heart, I get excited about situations that seemingly that you can't overcome. I get excited about that. Maybe I'm crazy, but I love it. I love when my back's up against the wall and I have to look inside and figure out, hey, do you have what it takes to rise above the rest of your competition? So I was taking a characteristic that I had learned my entire life in sports, and I simply just brought it over into the business world, and I strapped up and I said, let's go. Let's go. Right? We get hit in the mouth with this situation. We can't be in business. People are getting sick. People are dying. How can we still be a service to the people that we've made a commitment to with all these odds? Well, let's get to the drawing board. We sat down. We had meetings every single morning. We use this as an opportunity to not only look on the inside, but we use this as an opportunity to, again, look at our customers and say, how can we better serve them? We broke down our entire pricing structure. We rebuilt it, making sure that they were in the forefront. Lower pricing for individuals, for families, right? So that we can have more people come in. We tore down our entire CRM system, rebuilt that, took on another acquisition there to make sure that was a more engaging process. We looked at our policies. We looked at how we were going to do things once we came out of COVID. We were preparing for a date that we didn't know was going to present itself. We were preparing as if the game day was showing up the next day when we really didn't know when this was going to end, when we're going to be allowed to be back in business. But we broke down our entire business, right? In the process of breaking down our entire business, we still made time to make sure that we kept our clients engaged. How do we do that? Monday through Friday, we had Facebook and Zoom workouts live once a day. When it was on there, it was free. It was free. Yes, I said it, free. In a time where we had a lot of overhead, we still provided services to keep our clientele engaged because they were our community. And we knew that we were either A, gonna lose our butt. We were gonna lose our butt and charge people, right? Charge people to try to make sure that we cover our overhead, but in the process, we might lose people because everybody was hurting. Everybody was hurting. So instead of doing that route, we took the route of just providing a free service. Let's keep our community engaged. Let's make sure that we're giving to our community and everybody else who wanted to be a part of our community, so that when we came out of COVID, whenever that was going to be, they were that much more committed to us, and they knew that we were that much more committed to them. That was important for us. We didn't come out and we didn't say that. We didn't come out and say that. We just acted. We just acted because we wanted to make sure that our Steadfast family was taken care of. So not only were we changing things structurally, financially, not only were we changing policies and make sure that they were even safer than what they had already been, but we were also making sure that they were engaged and that they were getting what they needed. Because at a time when stress was at the highest level, maybe in recent history, we wanted to make sure that we were there for them. So we got to work. So we grinded every single day. We were still fighting with our landlords. We still started providing services, all these things. We tore down our website. We rebuilt our website all the way up. We worked with our webmaster feverishly to get after it, okay? And then we took surveys. What about class times? What about this? We started doing data, right? We started collecting data. We started analyzing what some of our competition was doing. What are they doing? Could we collab on some things? Is there anything that we could do to simply make the services better? Well, one of the major things that coming out of that, not only were we providing those services, well, if we're not working, if we're not providing services for funds, what about one of our number one revenue streams? One of our number one revenue streams was corporate. One of our major revenue streams is corporate. So corporate wellness is huge for us. So we have 4 corporate wellness accounts. And when I say it's huge for us, it's because on the first of every month, you're able to swipe that card and know that you have a certain amount of bills covered, right? Those bills are covered. Then you go to your auto debits. That's covered. Cool. Now, all of a sudden, all those things go out the window. You have not only have to account for those things now, but you have to account for those things in the future. When we do come out of COVID, what can we do about that? Much like we lost money, other companies lost money. So the chances are pretty slim that we're going to be able to come out of this thing and acquire those accounts back. So we have to plan for different marketing schemes. What are we going to do marketing wise that is going to set us aside? What are we going to do marketing wise that's going to give us an opportunity to get the ball rolling ASAP as soon as we touch the ground? We started throwing those ideas around. We started doing, not BOGO offers and things of that nature, but we started incentivizing our clients, right? And we started really focusing on our referrals. Not only were we taking care of them, but we were trying to acquire more clients because we recognized that we were going to need to grow, right? We were going to need to grow. Also, we recognized that through this, our landlords weren't necessarily the most personable individuals in the world, nor did they really care about us. This was the 3rd landlord we have had in that span of 5 years. So they had zero cares about us. Unfortunately, they had just acquired the building about a month before COVID hit. So trust and believe they didn't care about little old Steadfast. So we needed to have a game plan for that as well. What was our game plan? Well, when we were having those daily meetings and we were breaking down our system, rebuilding our policies, tearing down our pricing structure, rebuilding our website, fixing our CRM, all those things, we needed to also start planning for the what ifs. What if we can't negotiate an extended lease with our landlords? Do we even want to continue to stay here with these landlords when they obviously don't care about us because they were still asking for their funds even though we couldn't conduct business? These are all things that I know that it wasn't just us. I know you guys were all facing it too. But we needed to start planning for Steadfast 3.0. And Steadfast 3.0 required us to make a move, which can be scary, especially coming out of COVID, when everybody else is downsizing, when everybody else is going digital, when everybody else is losing their storefronts and losing all their commercial space. Businesses are unable to get back on their feet. We're driving down the street, you're seeing businesses close left and right. For lease. Businesses that you walked into every single day, signs coming down. It was a sad time. And a lot of people didn't make it out. But we were confident that if we did things correctly, if we restructured things the right way, that we can come out of this thing. And if we can get through COVID, we can get through absolutely anything because we were shut down for 3 months. And if we can be shut down for 3 months and not generate any revenue and we can come out this thing and still be able to catch up and pay all of our bills, then guess what? I think we're going to be all right. But that doesn't mean to stay in the same situation. We need to position ourselves to do better. So we went from 14,000 square feet and we started planning to go to a smaller location. We started scouting around. We found 2 suites that were kind of back to back in a kind of a ran down retail shopping strip. That was kind of on the up and up, though. You could feel that the city that we're looking at, which is the city of Louisville, starting to kind of get rejuvenated, and things are kind of transitioning out north in terms of development. As we know, the DFW is exploding. But we took a small space that was about 4,000 square feet, another space that was about 1,500 square feet. And we said, what if we just blow this wall out? What if we just blow this wall out? Could we make it work? Not what we want, but what we need. What we wanted was a Steadfast 2.0 that had 40 yards of indoor turf. It had four lanes, a 60-meter track. It had offices galore, had everything that you could ever dream of, right? In our profession. It was perfect, but wasn't necessary. And we had to make the hard decision to see, were we generating revenue from every square inch of that building, or were we simply just tooting our own horns? If it's not making us money, if it's not positioning us to be able to serve our clients better, then it's pointless. So we're carrying overhead that was unnecessary and was not advantageous to what we were trying to attain, which was provide a great service, be a benefit to our community, and at the same time take care of our families. So we had to downsize from 14,000 square feet down to 5,600 square feet. We did that right after COVID. And we're in that right now. When we did that, we used this as an opportunity not only to downsize and to simply just get leaner, right? Trim the fat, right? Cut our overhead by half, right? While planning to continue to keep our revenue the same, the revenue numbers the same. But we use this as an opportunity to rebrand ourselves, not in terms of what we stand for, in terms of the Steadfast lifestyle, the Steadfast way of life, or the Steadfast living, right? And how we affect everybody around us. But we just wanted to simply change our appearance. So we put a lot of effort into restructuring the whole inside of our facility. We have graffiti, it's a lot more urban, it's a lot more hip, because we feel like that's the demographic that we were going for. Our previous target market was families. We were going to continue to serve families and continue to target families while still appealing to a younger generation, the 25 to 35-year-old range. And that's what we're in right now. We made that move 1 month ago. 1 month ago, we made that move while carrying over all those changes that we made that were all very beneficial to what it is that we do. CRM, marketing, right? The website, right? The pricing structure, all those things that I mentioned previously. We carried over all those things because those things were beneficial. Now we brought those over, brought our overhead down, brought not only our overhead in terms of rent, but we brought our operating expenses substantially down. We increased the number of clientele that we have, the number of exposure. We're no longer in commercial building. We're now into retail space. So the amount of eyes on it that we have now is 100 times, 100x, if not more, right? Because before we were in a warehouse, you drive by, I don't know what's in that building. Now everybody can see because we have a whole glass front as to what it is that we do. Huge change. Huge risk taking on another lease right when everybody else is trying to figure out how to pull back. We pull back, but we have faith, right? We have faith. We have faith in what it is that we're doing. So as you guys look forward, as you guys are in the midst of this struggle, you guys are fighting, trying to figure out exactly what to do. Do I do more? I caution you. Because I don't want you guys to choose simply just content and concept over culture. The culture that you have established, the culture that you have within your business is going to carry you throughout. That is the one steadfast element that is going to continue regardless of what happens. For us, we lean on our name, Steadfast. It was very important that we continue to stay steady, so that as our clients looked at us, as the rest of the DFW looked at us, they could see that we were remaining just that, steadfast. Regardless of the ways that were hitting us, regardless of the hurdles that we had to overcome, we were remaining steadfast. We were remaining diligent. We were remaining creative. All these things, we kept pushing forward because we simply wanted to be the best. We kept simply going back to what our competitive natures were from all the sports that we did growing up. All the battles that we had, all the one-on-ones, all the team, all the studying, everything, all those characteristics, we brought them over. And at a time where everybody else was struggling, including us, we had to figure out how to stand up. So I want to encourage you guys to stand up, right? Analyze exactly what it is that you're in business to do. Who are you at your root? What is your foundation? What do you stand strong on no matter what? Look inside, do a true self-analysis in terms of that. Once you guys have figured out exactly who you are, figure out what it is that you're trying to do. Once you know who you are, what you're trying to do, and the effect that you're trying to have, it should be easy to have a clear eye view in terms of what direction to go in. Because if you don't know who you are, you're definitely not going to be steadfast, right? You're going to be swayed. You're going to be swayed, just like the ocean. You're going to see somebody doing this on social media, and you're going to say, oh, we should try that. You're going to see another business doing this, like, oh, what? Yeah, I like what they're doing. Know who you are. Don't be tempted just because they got a little candy over there. Don't be tempted because it looks a certain way. Know who you are, know what you're trying to do, and know who you're trying to serve. And once you guys have those three things in line, you guys will be money. And I encourage you guys to continue to push forward and continue to have a huge impact, because I feel like we are doing just that. I appreciate you guys, and I'd love to take any questions y'all have.
Hi, Isaiah. Thanks so much. That was incredible. We do have a couple questions from the audience. And so the first one is, how do you know when it's the right time to move forward?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could put my finger on that, right? And just say, have an answer for everybody. For us at the time, it was something that we had been planning for 2 years. We were positioning ourselves to buy land, build a building, all these things, right? We had planned ahead of time, and the timeline just kept coming up on us. We kept trying to work with the landlord, and we got to the point when we tried to renegotiate the lease, you could tell that they just weren't going to budge. They weren't going to budge, or they simply didn't want us there. And you don't want to be paying somebody who doesn't want you there. All right. The hardest thing for us was to make the move, because we were moving out of a community that we had really grown to be a true cornerstone of, right? We're in a city of Capel. We were doing things with the city. We were doing things with the mayor. I'm obviously serving on the board for the high school. We have a lot of great business community networks there as well. So that was the part that was really pulling at us more than anything, and not so much just to move. But as long as you know that you can still service the people that you care for, right, in a very diligent way, I think that you're perfectly fine. But I can't tell you when to pull the trigger. I just knew that in our heart we needed to make a move, and and gratefully, everything's been great.
Yeah, that's great advice. And you mentioned a lot on the culture will carry you regardless of what happens. Yeah. I think, like you said, identifying kind of who you are and what you want to do, that will help in making those bigger decisions.
Absolutely.
We have another one. What is the biggest piece of advice you can give to an aspiring entrepreneur or someone just getting into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, take your time. Take your time, right? And do your homework. Do your homework. So many times entrepreneurs, I know you hear about all the stories about, most entrepreneurs who are very successful, they have to shoot 10 times before they hit that one. I don't want to lose 10 times. I really don't. I don't want to be that guy that loses 10 times. I'd rather do my research and see everybody else who failed, right? I want to see everybody else who failed, and I want to analyze exactly what they did good and what they did bad, right? That's what we did when we first started Steadfast, is we analyzed all of our competition, all of them. And we had to make a decision. Who are we? Who do we want to be, right? Yes, we do sports performance, but we're not just sports performance. Yes, we do personal training, but we're not just personal training. So we can service both sides. Okay, now how can we do that? Now, what will make us different? Well, we can add these elements, right? We can service corporate wellness is an underserved area right now. So how about we go there? That's an area that's a niche that we can have that will really give us the curveball that we need to be different. So figure out who you are, figure out where you want to be, and you need to know exactly what everybody else is doing too, so that you can position yourself strategically.
Yeah, that's great. One of the things you mentioned too during it is, when COVID hit, you said, you went back to your sports days and you use, got to get through it, got to go through it. How, from your perspective, how important it is to utilize, past experiences into what you're moving forward to. So, you learned from it, but what is that like taking it into the next step or taking it into your next journey?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think you need to go back and for me, I went back to all the parts that were of anguish in my past, right? All the injuries that I had. I've had 7 surgeries that I had to overcome, going back to my senior year in high school, all the way to when I won the Super Bowl with the Giants. I had a lot that I had to overcome. I dealt with the political drama with trying to I was the second black quarterback in my school's history. So I dealt with all those issues, right? And I really put myself in that competitive mindset to say, when my back's up against the wall, what did I do in the past, right? Who was I in the past? When my younger self, how did I respond? What's the pros? What did I do good, right? I'm very black and white. What did I do good? What could I have done better? Right. So as I go back and I analyze those situations, now you bring those things and those characteristics, those positive characteristics, and you apply them to your now, right? You apply them to your now. So when COVID hit, again, how many people do we know that were just like, oh my goodness, my business this, my business that? And yes, that's true, right? But you have an option. You have an option to slide down the hill, or you have an option to climb out that hole, right? And so being a former collegiate athlete, professional athlete, especially professional, you didn't have time to sulk. There was no time to sulk. Every week there was a group of guys that were coming every Tuesday to try out to take your spot because they were going to cost less, right? And they were going to be a better situation for the organization because financially it was better. So you had to fight tooth and nail every single day for your job. If you had a bad play, you had a bad game, you better figure out how to bounce back because you will be replaced. So when you bring that mindset over to business, it's the same thing. There's no woe me. There's no feel sorry for yourself. It's okay. I got busted in the mouth. Now what? How am I going to respond? Right? We're in a fight now. We're in a fight. I have the government kicking my butt because they said I can't be in business. Right? I have clients that are being directly affected. Right? I have employees that I can't pay right now. Right. So I'm getting all these different angles. Right. Oh, and by the way, we need to figure out a way to get into a better financial situation for us. So we're going to need to downsize. But how can we keep that same environment? How can we keep the same vibe? How can we keep the same energy and services to be able to make sure that it all works? And you just figure it out. You just figure it out. There's just my biggest thing there is just there's no woe me. Right. Don't feel bad for yourself because nobody else is going to feel bad for you. You got to make it happen if you want it.
That's great. Another question we have is, what were some of the biggest challenges of making your career change?
I think just not knowing what I wanted to be, right? And I think I'm still in that. I'm not sure if anybody ever really figures that out. I think that I was blessed with a lot of different skill sets, and that was kind of my gift and my curse while I was playing sports too. I played quarterback, receiver, and tight end in the NFL. I wasn't a guy that was allowed to simply just play one position because I had multiple skill sets. So now as I come into the business world, I feel like I'm kind of in that same caveat where I know I could work corporate if I wanted to. I know I could be down here on the grassroots. I know I could be in service-based business. There's a lot of different things that I can do. So it was hard not having direction. As I was going through my graduate program at George Washington University, seemingly, I remember there was one exercise where people were like, okay, go to this group with this mentor if you have a business and you're trying to figure out what to do, right? And you just need some help. All right, and go to this group with this mentor if you have a concept and an idea of what you want to do, but you just need help on how to build it from the ground up. And then go to this group over here if you just don't know what the heck you want to do. And that was me and like one other guy that was just sitting there looking at each other. And I think that was the biggest struggle for me because that was for my entire life, I wanted to do one thing, be a professional athlete. That was pretty simple. From the time I was 6 years old, I knew exactly what I wanted. I had one goal and one purpose, and that was to reach that pinnacle. It was easy to say no to everything along the way because I knew exactly what I wanted to attain. I had opportunity to go pro baseball. I had to turn that down at 16 years old. That sucked, right? Being offered $1.3 million as a 16-year-old, it's kind of tough to turn down. Right. But I knew that they weren't going to give me an opportunity to go to college. And I wanted to position myself strategically to say, hey, if sports doesn't work, I have something else to fall back on. So I had to make that tough decision early on. And well, it was easy because I knew where I wanted to go. So for the first time in my life, I was faced with not knowing where I wanted to go when I was transitioning from playing pro sports, now trying to step into the business world. I still have to work, right? I'm 28 years old at the time, retired from pro sports. And I have to figure out a direction because I still have to provide. I still have to have a purpose. And I still have to wake up and want to do it every single day while providing for my family. So that's when I felt most lost. And that was frustrating.
Yeah, your story and what you've talked through today has been incredible. and being able to not only, I think one of the things that stuck out to me a lot is in these transitions, like you said, from Steadfast to Steadfast 1.0, 2.0, now 3.0, the steadfastness, your grounding as to know what y'all are wanting to provide to the community and what you're wanting to provide really guided you through it. And I think that is an incredible lesson for all of us to know and to understand is who we are, what are we wanting to affect, and then make our decisions to be able to move in that direction. So we really, really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And is there a last piece of advice that you'd want to give to anyone listening today?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just be steadfast, y'all. I mean, there's gonna be all kinds of things that we can't foresee that are gonna pop up, and I really want everybody to form. If you don't already have the mindset, because it's not natural. It's not natural to be excited when you're hit with adversity. It's not, right? But I think I know my faith that I have. I now expect it. I expect adversity, and I look forward to adversity because I know that it's building my character. So when those opportunities present themselves, I look at them as that opportunities to get better, right? When I'm hit with something, whether it's a financial strain in business or whether it's, something going on structurally or whether it's employees, I look at it as opportunities to grow, because once you get through that mud, you're so much better, you're so much more prepared for the next situation that presents itself, and you can handle it accordingly. But guess what? Your ceiling might have been here, but once you get through that, it's like I use the example of drop ceilings, right? If I look up on my roof and I have a drop ceiling, most people in their offices, right? Then you believe that that's your ceiling if you never came out of that room. But as soon as you push through that tile, you know that, oh man, there's so much more space up there. And that's what how I look at things whenever I'm faced with hurdles that I don't believe anybody can really overcome, or they're just challenging. Pop that tile up, see what else is up there so that you continue to raise your ceiling.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, we are so thankful that you were able to join us today. We would love to be able to invite you back when we're in person. And so you are always welcome to the DEC Network, and we really appreciate your time. The audience has been super engaged and has really enjoyed it as well. And thank you again, Isaiah, and we hope to be able to have you back and work with you again soon.
Thank you so much, Alex. I appreciate you. Thank y'all.
Thank you.